welcome to the April 20th Common Council. Will be reconvening today. Please call the roll.
Mugrower,
Here.
Erickson. Here. Peschel.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
Allison Osby. Here. Krause.
Here.
Palmieri.
Here.
Present 7.
Next, we have the consent agenda. The Oshkosh Board of Canvass filing of the official statement of votes cast for the April 6, 2021 election for Oshkosh Mayor, declaring Lori Palmieri as elected, and for Oshkosh Common Council, declaring Courtney Hanson, Bill Miller, and Aaron Wojciechowski as elected. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Please take the roll.
Mugrower,
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Peschel.
Aye.
Ford.
Aye.
Allison Osby. Aye. Krause.
Aye.
Palmieri.
Aye.
Carried 7.
All right, and under other business, we have some presentations here for council members, and we'll start with Deputy Mayor Krause. I'd like to present your plaque here in appreciation, and I just wanted to say it's been an honor serving with you over a most difficult year, 2020. And you've inspired me. I've learned much from you, and certainly, thank you. Certainly, if you'd like to say a few words.
Oh, definitely. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I got my notes here, so I'll try to remember everything. First off, I'd like to thank my family. My family is the reason why I ran. My family is the reason why I was able to run. My family is the reason why they gave me the time, inspired me. My wife helped me a lot with it. My other family members helped me a lot. A lot of good input from cousins, grandparents, everything to be the council member I am today and have been. I'd like to thank the people of Oshkosh for believing in me over the last 4 years plus. It was really interesting getting to know everybody and how the city government worked, and I had beliefs before coming in, and a lot of the beliefs changed once I met people and seen how much heart was in all this and how much hard work went into it. City staff, you guys have been wonderful, always answering my questions, sometimes getting annoyed with me, pushing through on things that you didn't want me to do, and I still tried to get them done. Some accomplished, some didn't. I would have liked 2 more years to wrap up my goal of serving. My original goal was 2 terms, 1 time to get reelected to prove that I did a good job and people believed in me. So I wanted 2 more years to wrap it up, but things don't work out the way you want them to all the time, and maybe it was the way it was meant to be. I'm proud of our accomplishments, previous council members and current council members. People say that balancing the budget's the most important thing on council. It probably is economically, but the social issues, that's what people care about the most. That's what people come to meetings about. That's what people send us all these emails on. Some of the things I'm proud of is I pushed for the early Saturday voting a couple elections ago. It was the first time ever in Oshkosh we did that. Reducing the marijuana fines in Oshkosh. The previous year of council didn't even get a second or a motion to bring it up, and we passed it, and we reduced the fine by over 50%. So I'm proud of that too, and it's a very progressive thing. So I hope Oshkosh is viewed as progressive. Another thing is I supported and I was vocal for the free busing for kids, and I think that's a great thing for people that don't have all the accessibility of some people in Oshkosh. So I thank all their council members for working on that too with me. So again, thank you everybody. It's not goodbye, it's I'll see you around, see you later. So thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Krause.
Thank you.
And Councilmember Mugrower has one for Councilmember Allison Osby.
Just got a brief little statement, and then got a little plaque for you too, Deb. Councilmember Deb Allison Osby, your passion for this community began long before you were first elected in this, to the Common Council in 2011, and I'm confident it'll continue long after. But you can leave knowing you've had a positive impact on the city of Oshkosh, as this community is in a much better place today than it was 10 years ago. Over the last several years, not only did I have the honor of calling you a colleague, but I've gained a friend. It's been a pleasure to get to know you and to work with you, and you will be missed. Councilmember Deb Allison Osby, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
So we have an award for Deb Allison Osby, given in grateful recognition of your outstanding service as an Oshkosh City Council member from 2011 to 2021, Deputy Mayor from 2014 to 2015, and a second time, 2016 to 2017.
Thank you very much. Sure. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it, and thank you for the kind words, Matt. Thank you for the opportunity Madam Mayor has given me to say a few words. I thought about all the things that have changed in Oshkosh since first being elected in 2011. And I've spent time asking myself, what contributions have I made? And I'm proud of the time that I'm on council, but rather than reflect on myself, I'd rather take a few moments to think of others and share my appreciation. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to my husband, Rob. He has given his absolute unwavering support and has always been the rock when the seas have been a little bit stormy. I also appreciate his ability to be the most surprised constituent in Oshkosh when the tax bill came or when the water rates increased. But no, seriously, without his love and support, it would have been tough to put in 10 years of service. I'd also like to give appreciation for my mom. She has also always been incredibly supportive, and it's really a lot of the values and things that I've gained and learned that really did come from what was instilled by both my mom and my dad. Obviously, there's a lot of others in my family that I'd like to thank, and also too my daughter Rachel, who literally grew up with my time on council, and I think she's probably learned a thing or two about working with different personalities. I have such an appreciation for other stakeholders in Oshkosh. GoEDC, the Oshkosh Area Foundation, Day by Day, the Chamber, Christine Ann, Boys and Girls Club, Damascus Road, Oshkosh for Kids, the school district, the university, and countless of other organizations. Their dedication to Oshkosh has helped make this position so much easier to serve in these years. Many of them and their volunteers are indeed our true community heroes. A special thanks to those who serve on our city boards and commissions, who are so vital in so many ways. And now staff. I am so very proud of you all. You have been here to serve on the best days when all seems to be going well, and on the days you have been here to serve that have not been some of our finest days. I think the worst day I remember during my 10 years was the day that I got the word that Officer Wisnek was down. I think it was probably the worst day I served. I will never forget that day. Regardless of what, every day you show up to serve the public and you serve them so very well. Thank you for all the times that you've come into work when I know you probably didn't feel your best, when you struggled in your own life and had struggles that maybe seemed insurmountable. And thank you for caring about all the others who enter our buildings that you know probably also had other things going on in their lives. Thank you for your endless work in making sure that your council had the information that they needed to make good decisions. Your dedication makes Oshkosh the great community that it is. You are the powerhouse and you are the secret weapon in this city. Mr. Roloff, 10 years is a long time to work together, and what a ride it's been. We've had some ups, we've had some scrapes, but I hope you know how much I appreciate your time and dedication. You never said a word or complained, but I want you to know that during the years while your boys were growing up, I know it was difficult for you to many times miss out on school events and their special events. And I want you to know that my heart hurt on those days because I know yours did. Please thank the boys and Janet for all the sacrifices that they have made and will continue to make so that you can serve for the greater good of the community. And now on to our current council and our future council. I'm not one to lecture, so I thought maybe perhaps I could impart with some wisdom. I learned very quickly that you cannot work alone and succeed. You will need the support of others. You will likely serve with those you like and others you don't. I would encourage you to make an effort to get to know the ones that you like the least, have the least in common with, and probably most likely will vote in opposition with. As difficult as it is, find common ground, whether it be family, friends, sporting events, music, etc. You would be surprised how a couple of phone calls or grabbing a beverage of choice, you can really help to find out something in which you can find some common ground on and you can agree on. It's worth the effort because the difficulties and the difficulties and challenges will come. And they will. There at some point will be harsh words that will be exchanged, and that will happen. But what it'll do is if you can find that common ground, it'll give you perspective that this is business and it's not personal. Being a good leader means that when you're wrong, admit it, and if you're a horse's rear end, admit that too and say you're sorry, even if it takes you 24 hours. Respect is earned, it's not just given. If you serve long enough, life changes, whether it's career changes or the people you care about most will get sick, have struggles of their own, or perhaps pass away. You as council members will find yourselves spread very thin at times, juggling the business of council, your career, and your personal life. If you have good communication with your colleagues, they will really support you when you may not be at your best. At the end of the day, we are all human. May I also recommend the same thing, and that you council members give care to your constituents, staff, and other community leaders. If you are strong, our community is strong, and we will best be able to compete with other communities so that we really have an opportunity for the best of everything. Lastly, I have such gratitude for previous and current council members. Each of you has added to who I am today, and I am so thankful for the lifelong friendships I have gained. I wish you the very best that life has to offer, and thank you for the opportunity, Madam Mayor, to speak.
Now, Councilmember Erickson will present the plaque to Councilmember Peschel.
Well, I have an award for Councilmember Peschel. Thank you for all of your years of service and your dedication to the city. I appreciate the perspectives that you've brought to this council and to the city, and the care that you've brought to constituents and the issues. So I appreciate the guidance that you've brought, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. So I have a couple words, and my mind is relaxed a little bit because my predecessor who spoke before me said such wonderful words about her experience and the staff and the council and our community. So I don't need to repeat that because you did a great job. So thank you. I want to start off is that, you know, I'm kind of the young one in regards to the three up here because I only served 2 years this time. I've served previously, but this was a shorter term than what I kind of figured that I'd be doing. So I'm very happy and comfortable with that. So I believe in the amount of time that I served in the last 2 years, I got to do some things that I thought were really, really great things for our community. Some of them are kind of sporadic because of the time that we live in, and some of them are things that are going to impact the lives of children and their families for a lifetime. And as long as that works out, I had the opportunity of creating a program with all of the council, the community, and the school board, and making it so that school-age children ride the bus free. So that's a thanks to all of you for doing that. And what I would relate to is Ms. Allison Osby's comments of finding that common ground. In order to make that happen, I had to put aside some of my pride to be able to make that happen, and I'm very happy that I did, because I believe that the program might not exist today if I hadn't found a way to compromise and to look past differences to make that happen. So I'm very in line with that idea that that in order to be a better leader in our community, that sometimes you have to find those ways to compromise and not necessarily stick to your guns of what's absolutely important and find that common ground. So, and I think that's ultimately, that is the task of what we as elected leaders are supposed to do. We're supposed to find that common ground so that we can move our community forward for our taxpayers, for our people that live in our community, for our business owners. And ultimately, it's our job to find that common ground so that our staff and everyone that follows the mission of the city of Oshkosh can be able to move forward and execute the programs that we provide to our community. So I'm honored to have served with the council that I have served this time around. And I am honored to have the policy that we have created be executed so greatly in our community by all of Mr. Roloff's staff. So, so with that, I want to take a moment. I do want to thank my family. I would not have been able to do what I do if my wife was not supportive of me doing what I do. And along with my family, I can relate so much with the idea of not being present for certain family events and dinners and such like that because of being the role of an elected leader. So, and I think that without my family, without the support of council members in order to move forward and keep the city going forward in the times that we have in the last 2 years, I would have really struggled as a city council person. So thank you for that. I'm not out, I'm not done. So I still am serving our community in a different capacity. And I am looking forward to serving as a community member on at least one committee and maybe some more down the future. So I'm still very much involved and plan to be an engaged community member, just as I have been for the last 15 years in the Oshkosh community. So thank you for your support, time, and thank you all for your service, more than my service ever. Thank you.
And it's with great appreciation that I cannot have selected any better candidates or council representatives to have served with through 2020, the year that was most difficult and most challenging. And while we all have different points of view, I've learned so much from each and every one of you that I cannot express my appreciation enough for having that opportunity to serve with you, especially through 2020. And I would expect no less than seeing continued work in the community in your future chapters. So thank you again. And now it's time for us to adjourn sine die. If I could have a motion and a second.
So moved?
Second?
Any discussion? Please take the roll.
Mugrower,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Peschel,
Aye.
Ford,
Aye.
Allison Osby,
Aye.
Krause,
Aye.
Palmieri,
Aye.
carried 7. We are adjourned.
Of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh
Discharge the
FM.
duties of mayor to the best of your ability. Okay, if you would like to sign and vote.
Congratulations.
Are you ready? If you'd like to stand and raise your right hand. Okay, do you swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, along with the ordinances of the City of Oshkosh, and will faithfully discharge the duties of council member to the best of your ability?
I do.
Okay. if
I
you'd
do.
Each like to sign your oath?
Thank you.
Jake, we're good?
Welcome back. And during the recess, the clerk did swear in our new council members and re-elected. And we will go into the April 2020 organizational meeting. Please call the roll.
Erickson,
Here?
Ford,
Here?
Hanson,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
Mugrower,
Here.
Wojciechowski,
Here.
Palmieri,
Here.
present 7.
And our first order of business is the election of deputy mayor. We will start with nominations. Nominations will be called 3 times. A second is not required. And then we will close nominations. So starting with our most senior. No?
We'll just open the floor for nominations.
So we'll open. No particular order. Councilmember Ford.
I'll nominate Mugrower.
Further nominations?
I'll nominate Lindsay Erickson.
Erickson. Further nominations for deputy mayor? All right. We'll take a motion to close nominations
So moved.
Second?
and discussion of our nominees. So we have Councilmember Mugrower. and
Madam
Councilmember
Clerk,
Fish.
we need to take the vote first before discussion.
To close.
To
close
the
nominations.
To close the nominations, yes, thank you. Please call the roll.
Erickson,
Aye.
Ford,
Aye.
Hanson,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mugrower,
Aye.
Wojciechowski,
Aye.
Palmieri,
Aye.
carried 7.
So now we have discussion of the nominees, and nominees are also welcome to make statements as well. Councilmember Ford.
Yes, I nominated Councilmember Mugerauer for a couple of reasons. One, as the senior member, I think that he has a lot of experience he brings to the table. The most important job of the deputy mayor is evaluating the performance of the city manager. During our last evaluation process, I was impressed with the former deputy mayor, but also impressed with Councilmember Mugerauer and his ability to navigate that, and I have full confidence he'll be able to do it again. I also think it's no secret to the community that we have, we probably have a little bit of a split council, but that's because we have a council that reflects the demographics of the city of Oshkosh, and I think having some balance between the mayor and the deputy mayor position, based on at least my experience in the previous year and where some of our fault lines lie, will be a really nice, way to move forward. So that was my rationale.
Councilmember Wojciechowski.
Oh, I wanted to give us some choice, just to have some discussion on the differing ideas between who our potential deputy mayor could be. And I think watching Ms. Erickson in her last year on council, I've been very impressed with the work she's done. So I'd like to have a discussion. I'd love to hear from both of them as well.
Yes. Councilmember Mugerauer.
Sure, no, appreciate that. Thank you to Councilmember Ford for the nomination, very kind, and whoever is the deputy mayor for this next term, we'll have big shoes to fill. Deputy Mayor Krause did a wonderful job this last session. I concur with Councilmember Ford and his assessment. I thought Jake did a fantastic job going through the city manager's evaluation process. That's the biggest role that the deputy has, as well as the last couple. Deputy Mayor Herman left some big shoes to fill as well. So I'd be honored to have that, to have your support, and I appreciate the nomination again. Thank you to Councilmember Ford. Thank you.
Councilmember Erickson.
Well, thank you, Councilmember Wojciechowski, for the nomination. I think, the practice of selecting deputy mayor has historically typically gone to who has seniority, and I respect those who have served longer than me. And I also think it's healthy for us as a council to have options. And like Councilmember Ford said, the deputy mayor, it's an important role to help make this council function better and accountable to our responsibility of having a good working relationship with our city manager. Over the past year, I've been proud to provide different perspectives on issues and bring my experience and approach to the table. And I hope that I've been able to build trust and good working relationships with all of my fellow council members. And if selected, I would continue the work that has been done by previous deputy mayors to strengthen our evaluation process of the city manager, making sure that it's participatory, focused on clear and consistent communication for feedback between us and the city manager. So my top priority would really be creating, supporting, and sustaining that relationship between us and the city manager. So thank you.
I guess I'd just like to say that I think both council members would do us honor in serving in this role. And I appreciate what Councilmember Ford had to say about Councilmember Mugerauer in the longevity and experience and that asset to the council. I'm also aware that Councilmember Erickson has gone above and beyond in taking on boards and commissions above her requirements and always being present and attending and doing the homework. And so this will be, this will be challenging, but I think either one of them would serve well in that process. And I thank you for the nominations coming forward quickly and efficiently, and hopefully we can come to agreement today. Is there any other discussion on the nominees? All right, we will take the roll.
So when I call your name, you will say the name that you wish to have as deputy mayor. Erickson,
Erickson.
Ford,
Mugerauer?
Hanson,
Mugerauer.
Miller,
Mugerauer.
Mugerauer,
Mugerauer.
Wojciechowski,
Erickson.
Palmieri,
Erickson.
I declare Councilmember Mugrower as deputy mayor.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you as well, fellow council members, appreciate that.
And certainly, that will determine our later item on the agenda on seating assignments. Welcome, Deputy Mayor Mugrower.
Thanks.
Oh. You got it? I can do it.
So we have a choice today in terms of the seating assignments. Currently, we are set up in a temporary U shape. When we do come back, these may not be the same seats. And so we could select now where your seats would be when we come back in person, or we can wait until that time to make that decision. So I'd love to hear from other council members what their choice is. Deputy Mayor?
Sure. It's normal to do it now. I think in just keeping with a sense of normalcy, let's just knock it out, and hopefully we're there soon. Hopefully we're all here and getting back to that, but I'd say just knock it out now.
All right. I think we know where you will be on either side here. Do you have a preference on the right or the left?
Right there is fine. The right side is just fine.
Okay, all right. So that leaves the end spot, this spot, and this one.
I just suggest by numbers, so you have the, you have the.
1, 2,
You have the 3
3.
and the 4 spot covered.
4, 5, 6. Where's our 7th?
No,
You.
5,
counted.
6, 7, you're 4. You're batting clean
Who's
on
on
that,
first,
Mayor.
right? All right. Anybody have a preference?
It goes
You go in order.
seniority first, so
Yes.
those two would get the first choices. I don't know how that how
Yes.
that goes. but-
Councilmember
So it would be
Erickson.
Erickson, Ford, and then the 3 new council members.
Usually it's done by the vote in the last election, so
Yeah.
Councilmember Erickson would be next, Ford, and then 1, 2, 3.
I will keep this spot. That is number 6.
6.
Great.
As I said last year at the same meeting, I'm just happy to be here. So I honestly, I'll take whatever's left. Yeah.
All right. Others?
So what seats are available?
All
1,
right. Number 2? Number 4?
no, 5, you're 4.
So 1 and 2,
Five.
1 and 2 are available?
1 and
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
are available.
So I will take number,
No. 2 is
That's 3.
move around.
He's 3.
I will, if it's my turn, I don't want to.
It
Yes,
is.
yes, yes.
I'll take number 2, please.
Yep. So number 1 and number 5. Aaron?
I'll take number 5.
All right?
Perfect. I'll take number 1. I'm left-handed, so I'll be
All
bump and
right.
bill there.
So I guess you remain.
Yeah, what's the, oh, I'm still,
7. Yeah.
no. Oh.
All right, simple enough, or maybe not. Musical chairs. All right, next we have the discussion of the orientation of city departments for council members. I believe Mr. Roloff would like to describe that process.
Yeah, this is varied in different years, but we certainly want to make available to all council members, not just our newest ones that we've welcomed, to, if you would like to get a tour of any city operation, please let us know. I would suggest start with Diane in my office, and she'll arrange that. I know for most of you, she's already arranged the meeting with the city clerk and the city attorney, and I've had an opportunity to meet with each of you. So we've got this group covered. And certainly any tours, whether it's a field tour, ride along, those types of things, we will work to accommodate all of you on that. That's pretty much how we've done it. I know Mr. Fitzpatrick is working on an orientation manual for council members. We're not ready to have that with you just yet, but once we do that, we'll identify holes that that we may have in orientation, because Human Resources, I believe, does their employee orientation. But in terms of the some of the procedural things with council, you'll learn that as you go along, but we want to be able to give you as much information as possible, and I think that's why the clerk and the attorney have gone through most of those procedural things already with you. And again, for returning council members, the offer still stands, and I think maybe some of you can attest to some of the tours you've gotten and the value that you've gained from that.
Yeah, I may be up for that refresher. It's been a few years since I went on those, and I'm sure that I would learn something new.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and things keep changing. It's a great way to get to know your fellow council members as well.
And
Taking
staff,
joint tours, yeah.
to see them in action, certainly.
So just let Diane know, and
In addition to as part of the orientation too, it's been discussed in the past, there have been times where we've had discussion about a council retreat to get to know each other, so perhaps we can take a poll as to some dates or interest in, was it half day that we did before?
we did a half day. We did a little bit of strategic planning, but then we did the orientation. The orientation only took, or the retreat only took like a half a day. And we could, poll council members if that's what you'd like, if that's something that you want to talk about. We're going to be, doing strategic planning next year, but given the fact that we haven't been together in a year, there may be some value to a retreat. And I agree with the mayor, there may be some value to both old and new to get reacquainted.
And perhaps once we return in person, maybe more desirable. That's my thought. All right.
Would you like me to have Diane poll you?
Please.
Within the next few months? Do you want to try to do something in the next few months? Would that be good?
Yes.
Great. We will take care of that. Thank you very much.
All right, next we have the discussion and approval of council rules. Did everybody get in their packet the council rules for council meetings? And we did make a few small changes last year, but this is an opportunity for you to approve or amend council rules. If anyone would like to, they certainly can make a motion if they have amendments they'd like to offer. But let's get a motion on the floor for just approval of council rules, and we can go into discussion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, discussion. Everybody good with the way they are? All right. Please call the roll.
Erickson.
Aye.
Ford.
Aye.
Hanson.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Mugrower.
Aye.
Wojciechowski.
Aye.
Palmieri.
Aye.
Carried 7.
All right, next, our council liaison to boards and commissions, and I want to thank staff, Diane Moran, for putting this together in this format. In the past, they usually kind of came trickling in as emails, so it's very nice to see this organized in a matrix in this fashion, so we can see what folks have chosen. And just to clarify, the council liaison positions would be effective June 1st, not May 1st, just so we're aware, because certainly the terms go through the end of May. That does make it a little bit awkward for a couple of the boards and commissions who had representatives that have now departed for May, but certainly if you're appointed to those, you could get an early jump and attend. So I guess discussion would be, does anyone have any changes to what they listed on their preferences? I believe 5 preferences were asked, and it looks like naturally we have a good variety here. We do have our statutorily required boards and commissions, and then we have our advisory boards. And since there are only 7 of us and 20+ boards and commissions, not every one of them has a council representative. And then there are some that are outside the realm of the city with the CVB that we've customarily had someone in addition to their other council liaison duties. So I guess I'd just like to open it up if you have other thoughts or additions.
no, I thought the survey was nice. It's a good addition. Probably helps you in determining where at least people's preferences are, whether or not they can get those or not. But I think it looks like a good tool to use.
Yes, yes. And so if there is a change
Bless you.
and you see something else that is missing a requester, or for example, I see, Committee on Aging, I see, let's see, some are last. So these would be made in May, effective in June. And so I will reach out to a few of you to see whether or not we can change the representation level there. And are there any questions about, or any limitations we should know about with your schedule that do not allow you to participate in other boards and commissions? Anybody would like to share? Pretty flexible. All right, so look for those in May. Looks like we have the 2021 calendar dates for budget preparation. I'm going to turn that back over to the city manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In your packet, we had put together the preliminary budget calendar that we had presented to council about a month or two ago. Really what we're asking is for you to look ahead on your calendars, identify potential conflicts, because especially for the budget workshops, it's real helpful to have everybody there as much as possible. A couple of things that we've done in recent years is we have what I call pre-budget presentation, basically setting you up with information with background about assumptions we're making, trends that we're seeing before the budget's finally presented. We're taking advantage of very conveniently scheduled fifth Tuesdays, because you'll discover, especially for the new council members, fifth Tuesdays are like gold, because no board or commission is scheduled for a fifth Tuesday, so that generally leaves us available. But at the same time, the advantage of them also presents the opportunities, because whenever you see a fifth Tuesday, you start looking at your personal calendar because you have an opportunity to get a little bit of escape. The fifth Tuesdays in question are Tuesday, June 29th, which, obviously the week before the 4th of July. Some people may have personal things that they want to attend to because it is the beginning of the summer season. And then August 31st is another fifth Tuesday. So we look to schedule our workshops on those Tuesdays because of the convenience of them and the lack of conflict with any board or commission or council meeting. I just wanted to see if that is something that you're comfortable with. We have 3 brand-new council members, so nearly half of the council didn't have any feedback into this process, and we want to respect that. And I know that as summer things pile up, that the returning 4 may also have a different perspective as well. But those are 2 of the biggest ones. And then I'm doing this most off of memory because I forgot to bring my own calendar, but in October, I believe we have the 18th and 19th identified, if my memory serves me correct, for
Yes.
the all-day budget workshop. So I ask that you please get back to us as soon as possible. We will deliver the budget to you at your council meeting on Tuesday, October 12th. So give you about a week to kind of absorb it and everything. And certainly the idea behind the earlier budget workshops is so that there's as little surprise as possible that you see in the budget. You're already given us direction on where you want to go with the budget before that. So the idea is to keep the surprises to a minimum, but you still have a whole week to take that all in. It is an all-day type of affair. Last year, because of COVID, we all did it from home. But if we can return by then, we typically set it up in here all day. We feed you through lunch, so we just keep rolling. But in terms of work obligations, if you could set that aside, and if it's a particular problem, please let us know, because the more of you that are here, absolutely the better. So those are the big dates. I don't know if any other council members have some other thoughts about some of the other ones, but those seem to be the biggest ones that we ask you to make a commitment to. So, Madam Mayor, anything else that I may have overlooked?
Just to confirm that these, budget preparations are, if we are in person, we're all in person, and we're going to commit to, one or the other. As I understand it, the technical challenges just make it so burdensome that it really needs to be one or the other. If that's still unless some other magical improvement has come along.
Yeah, and I think that resumption of in-person meetings and discussions, the
Right.
same thing applies, because, Councilmember Peschel isn't here, but when Councilmember Peschel was the only one participating remotely, he clearly felt as the odd person out, and it's just very difficult. For all virtual, I think you have a different experience versus, all in or all out. It's one of the two, but that and the mayor and I were invited to a virtual hybrid meeting, and we were the odd people out. It wasn't even close, and it wasn't the intent to be that way, but that's just what happened. So I'd suggest, and that's part of why we're here, is to give you an idea of this is about the best we can do. I think this is okay, but that's for you to decide if this is something you want to keep going. But we could do this, and we could do a budget workshop like this. I think pretty safely.
But they would put mics in the back for staff presenters?
I think what we would do for that, we would probably put a table across.
Okay.
As opposed to the podium.
Gotcha.
That's the public podium, that's the staff podium for meetings. We set it up this way on purpose, even though we aren't going to use them today, just to kind of give you a rough idea. But I would think for the budget workshops, we could go straight across. And then, if the department head has 2 or 3 individuals. And we'll have to make sure we use all the AV technology we have so we can show things to you and whatnot.
All right, so that brings us to what you've all been waiting for, the discussion about resuming in-person meetings. So this is just a discussion at this point for whether or not we need to put a resolution on a future meeting. So I'd open up the floor for discussion on your feelings about resuming in person. Councilmember Ford.
Well, I'd love to ask city staff if they feel that it can be done safely from their end.
In the context of just staff, I think what you see here, is achievable. If we have an issue that is, a little bit, dicey, that you have a bigger audience, the idea is that we can safely separate here. You'd have public there, and we wanted to keep, especially for, Councilmember Hanson for the time being, I remember both the city attorney and city clerk, when the first setup we had, that person was, the speaker was directly behind them. And there were some hot button issues, let's just leave it at that. I think that was uncomfortable for staff.
Yes.
I think this is a little more comfortable. If we have bigger issues, that the idea is for 404, where you see the department heads right now, that would be for the public. So count up the number of chairs, and I know, Mayor, you've said to me in the past, you can't see around the corner, and I can see even less. The idea would be for the public to be there if the public needed to be there, and we would put department heads in my office, because we do have a television there, that they could know when it's time to be closed. And we put a dedicated reserve for staff presenters, so that I refer to that as the on-deck circle, because we don't want this dragged out time of department heads coming up, especially if it's a yes or no answer. But, the mayor asks a question, a council member asks a question, we want to keep things flowing. So we'd have that dedicated seat there for people on the on-deck circle. But and I know that with a controversial issue, and the mask ordinance was clearly one of those, controlling people out in the hallway is virtually impossible. We can ask them to do things, but it's very difficult. And Councilmember Wojciechowski knows that from his experience as a county board member. It's a tough proposition for any controversial issue. I use the mask as an example. Special assessments, a zoning. I mean, we know the ones that are controversial. 80% of the time this is going to work, no problem. If we anticipate a dicier one, that'll be tougher. One of the alternatives and again, and I'm talking just a little bit against what I had said earlier, if the public participated virtually and we did it like we're doing now, where the person could pop up on the screen all at the beginning of the meeting, we could probably manage the public remotely, council in person, so.
But
it's a-
my question would be, and I think some of us were wondering that, if we did that, what would the audio be like for them with us in the room? Because I think that that's the kind of feedback we got on the hybrid, was that for those who were participating virtually, they could not hear or necessarily see very well of what was going on in the room. So I guess, are you confident that that's not an issue?
Well, thank you for the question, because we wanted to anticipate. Jake, if you could show them the wide shot. So what we, refer to the Brady Bunch screen, you would have the Brady Bunch screen, and that would be one of the screens. Now, when that's mushed down and there's 9 of you, that's not going to be as easy to see. However, Jake, you can switch that to a close-up shot if necessary, correct? And I'm putting Jake on the
Of the
spot.
person speaking?
Yeah. With WebEx, you can do a capability, something like that. So you could have the person speaking as long as we, Now, if we have 50 people, we got to sort it out, look where it's highlighted, but we can do that. Between Mr. Newman in the back, Tony Newman, our IT director for the new council members, give a wave, Tony. Tony's taking care of the IT part. Jake, Tim, or Scott Williams are taking care of the cable TV. So Jake controls the cameras in the room. So we can zoom in if necessary. But that might be the way to address, at least for the time being, the public, keep them remote, and keep us in person. That gives the council the ability to interact. So there's a long answer to your short question, Mr. Ford.
Quick follow-up. So presumably, as we did last year, if we have a hot button issue in person, could we explore an alternative venue, to accommodate?
Yeah, I think we can. We'd probably have to have a little bit of foresight to recognize that. I guess if council would wish to do that, if we anticipate it, we need to notice it properly. I don't know if we need an ordinance when we change the location, or is it just the public notice is sufficient?
The public notice.
So I can work on the fly. If I see a sea of change coming that I need you to move, I can do that, let all of you know, just so you're comfortable with it. But generally, those issues, it's like, it's coming on such and such a date. And generally, we know that, and I would be willing to do that.
And I guess one last follow-up, and perhaps this is geared more toward the public, but presumably, if the public were to adhere to the rules that we set out for our meetings, we would not have a safety concern.
In terms of them coming to,
In terms of having an in-person meeting, we're going to have a large crowd, like we attempted to do with the first mask mandate discussion. If the rules that we set forth were followed, we probably would have been okay, safety-wise.
yeah, but people have to
I understand
agree to
that.
do that.
I
We
understand
can get about 15 people in the room, roughly about 15. We're going to have 80+% of our meetings okay with this setup. We won't have anything to worry about. It's those hot button ones that, then we move it to the convention center. Remember, we had the one for special assessments. Fortunately, because of the way staff did it, we had a room full and we had 10 people? I mean, we did all right with it. So I think it's possible that we could do that if need be.
So one last word. So I guess where I was going with that is I personally would love to be in person. I think that's the most respectful thing for us to do for community members, and I think that's a two-way street. I think if we're willing to do that, I think that we can get a commitment, hopefully, from our community members to follow our rules and be able to do this safely, because we're all in this together.
And also, I'd just like to point out that while this is being discussed in the context of council meetings, it also, as I understand it, would at the same time apply to our boards and commissions. So for example, let's just take the DEI committee. It's a bit larger, so we might end up taking up 2 full rooms just to accommodate space. And I just want to point that out, that we're talking about this for council, but it's also the thought that we would do the same for our councils, our committees and boards. Yes, Councilmember Erickson.
Is it for public participation, if we as a council are in person, can the public, could they attend both either in person or virtually if they're unable to come to the meeting or uncomfortable with that?
They could, but you're getting a little bit to the hybrid mode. That might be a little difficult. But as long as you're not putting somebody in a voting position remotely and stuff like that, if you keep the format the way you have it now, where we have public input on agenda items, and then we have public input on general, you put it all at the front of the meeting, I think you're okay. If we did it, like we've done it in the past, where you basically speak before each item, then I think it would be very difficult to do. I think you can pull it off if we continue to keep it on the front end. So if somebody insists on showing up, Jake can put the camera on that person the same way they can put the camera on you.
I guess I'm leaning towards all in person for simplicity and the fact that I appreciate that we have that option, because that was not previously presented as an option. But now, hearing that we do have those 2 choices, and knowing that there are still technical lags with either transmission or, variability of internet, or folks on the phone, some on, personally, I'm leaning towards all in person, and then accommodating if we have a larger crew that we need to go elsewhere. But that's my thought. New council members, anybody?
I agree with both you, Mayor, and Councilman Ford, that I think it's appropriate for us to be all in here. So that's my 2 cents worth.
It's amazing what we've learned in a year. But once you get out of once you think about creatively how you can do this, and I want to thank staff for.
Councilmember Erickson had a follow-up?
I think I would prefer, I'm totally fine with us. I think we as a council can be here safely in person. I think having an option for the public to participate virtually, I'd be supportive of that, just for accessibility, and if folks are not yet comfortable being in person, they can still participate, but understand the technical difficulties.
Okay.
So are you, just so I understand this clearly, so are you saying you'd like for them to have that option if they have hesitancy for being in person?
Yes, if that's possible.
Our other council members, Councilmember McGraw?
Thank you, Mayor. No, I think I happen to agree with what all of you actually said. Give the public the option, the ability at the time. While I think, and I've made no bones about this, I think our business is best conducted in this room with all the people who want to speak to us. That's the perfect world. But right now, we're not there yet, and I'll agree with that. We're not there yet. I hope we're there soon. So giving them that option, that comfortability option at home for now still, is key. If we have the ability, that if council sees fit to allow people to try to speak here and or do it at home, whatever their comfort level is. To Mr. Ford's point, if they're not willing to be accommodating, that may have to change our process and our procedures a little bit. I'm hopeful that, with some common sense and some cool heads, that we can keep people in a good place. The only other thing I think would be is if our boards and commissions, and I think as you mentioned, we're discussing as if it only affects us. It does affect them. If we can find a way to allow them to stay virtual for a little while longer than us, I'm okay with that. I know it creates 2 different standards. And I'd be interested to hear what you guys all have to say about that, but I think it may be wise for some of those boards and commissions still, if they so choose, that maybe we allow them to have a second set of standards for a little while longer. And I don't know what that does logistically, but
Right.
I think it's worth at least talking about, or if they're going to be in person, just like us, allowing them the flexibility to have different locations because you're right, because some may not be able to be accommodated in this room safely. You know, DEI is a little bit larger. Plan commission gets little bit big when they've got all the people attending. So if it means they've got to go somewhere else, we've got other locations that can accommodate them, but it may be costly. You know, the convention center, or it may, you know, eat up some staff time, but I think it's worth talking about.
And I will just say, at the quarterly boards and commissions chair meeting, it seems to be more of the feedback is coming that they are ready to come back in person. Not 100%, you know, consent there, but it's leaning that direction. City Attorney, do you have any concerns with it being separated or handled differently with the boards and the council?
No, we would just need to know it so that when we, if we amend the resolution, we're very clear on what the rules are, so.
As long as we're not doing hybrid, that's probably the biggest fear. If a committee said, we want to remain virtual, we could accommodate that type of request. We were trying to be consistent across the board.
Yeah.
But if one group says, I know there's several groups that, as the mayor said, they'd like to return to in-person immediately. Others, but doing the hybrid, we're either, if the commission's got to decide, we're all in or we're not all in. And one of the things that Councilmember Erickson mentioned that probably bears discussing is for people who don't want to wear masks or something like that, should we direct them to the online participation?
You mean for council, but not for
council.
boards and commissions?
Well, for any meeting.
Okay.
You know, if they can't or don't want to wear a mask,
Okay.
would they be better off?
But then
going
that does
virtual?
create a hybrid.
I'm not talking about boards and commissioners. The boards and commissioners, you'd have to say, look, your expectation is that you're going to be masked
But
up.
participants,
But yeah, but
public.
attendees, observers type
Yes.
of thing, or even
Citizen
people
comments.
testifying.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
The idea is that.
Time frame.
The idea is that I had to make it through May 15th because of various requirements for us to notice, especially for boards and commissions, quasi-judicial type of hearings. So it would be after May 15th. The council meeting on May 11th, if we return, the May 11th would be the last virtual meeting. So the new ones, you'll get 2 virtual meetings before we go live on the, let me get my math right, the 25th. For 25th of May would be council's first meeting back in here. Boards and commissions, are you asking that we just have the board and commission independently determine that? Is that the consensus? Let them decide if they want to,
I don't think it's our place to run
But-
their, yeah.
but either all in or they're all out. They can't, the
Right.
hybrid just doesn't work.
Right.
I feel very strongly about
No,
that.
and I think you made that clear, but I think we should let the individual board and commission make up their own mind.
For now.
For now.
At some point, we may have to put a hard and fast date that
You
it's
may
all
have to
back.
call
but
ollie in. Okay.
With that
I think that's-
caveat in mind.
I think it's
Yep.
fair for right now.
Okay.
Let's try it. Sounds good. So you have
your
everything you
first-
need?
So your next 2 council meetings will be
Are
virtual?
still virtual. May 25th would be the first
May
one back in
25th.
person.
Perfect. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right. Council portrait.
Diane has identified 3 specific dates. The idea would be to pick one. We finally, reconciled ourselves that we wanted to get a council photograph, and we waited 10 months for the last council to get their photograph. But we, through the magic of Photoshop, we can put you on the dais, all 7 of you, with a photograph, and they'll Photoshop you all in.
Can't even tell.
Yeah, it looks, I challenge you to go out there and look. So if there's a preference, we've got to pick May 4th, 5th, or 6th. That's a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. We'll have you come in 3 waves, basically. In 3 waves, we'll get everybody done. And that's basically when we're Deputy Mayor Mugarauer sitting all the way to a designated department head. And I'll surprise you with who that person will be this year. I've been rotating it the last few years to give a little love to everybody. The three of us can't have all the fun.
As long as it's not Fitz.
You had to say that, didn't you? Thank you. You had to say that. I think he's on the rotation list, though, for what it's worth. But anyway, any preference, or maybe a better way of putting it, any bad day of
Not the
those
5th
three?
for me.
Same.
6 is a challenge for me.
Okay.
4th, everybody good with the 4th? All right.
We'll get you in here, because it'll still be a plan commission, but we can keep them, that'll be over there. So Tuesday, May 4th, 5 to 6, I'll have Diane contact you. It'll 5:20, 5:40. And we're very quickly, you'll be in and out of here in 20 minutes. And if you have a preference on time because of work or other obligations, just let Diane know. Okay. May 4th it is. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate that. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
All right. Yes.
I just have one thing. We did update the council manuals with the updated rules, and so we gave them to 2 of the new ones yesterday. I'll get the rest to you as soon as we adjourn.
All right, sounds good. With that, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.